Now, if that last 10-minute conversation had been on the podcast, that's explosive stuff.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm an ex-lawyer.
Yes.
Particularly you. You
Good, we'll need that, yeah.
You should not have said that.
I'm allowed to believe what I believe. And we'll leave it there.
Willy T's coming off the back of a 2-day hangover. He was at the wedding on Wednesday, podcasted Thursday. You were going to the second day of a wedding last night, but you said, I'm either going to not go, or maybe I'll drive, or whatever I do, I'll not drink.
Yep.
How'd that go?
What do you think I did?
I think you at the very least had lots of drinks.
You think on day 2?
Yes.
What about you, Tim? Do you think I was a man of my word? Or
No, I think you're a good Protestant man, a man of your word. You thought, what day have I've had some alcohol on the day before. Today is a day of rest. I will sit at home and read my Bible.
And that's why he's the smart one. That's exactly what I did. I went, but I didn't drink.
Wow.
You didn't drink?
Didn't drink.
Tim, where do you stand on this second day of a wedding?
It's getting ridiculous in my day. You got married one day and that was it, and you went home and you had it's now a fucking week as well.
I know.
It's fucking weeks.
You've got like a pre-party, the wedding, and then the second day.
Come on, what's going on there?
Because you
stag nights are now stag weeks. No?
Weekend, 4 or 5 days.
Did you have a stag, Tim?
Yes, I did.
Where did you go on your stag?
Went to the pub with a few mates around Belfast a long time ago. Yeah, a long time ago. Yeah, very boring.
So it wasn't an away trip?
No, we didn't go away.
You went away from... Was it Neil Delamere's stag you went to Barcelona for?
Yeah, I went to Barcelona for Neil Delamere's stag, but he's not a great drinker. And
No?
in fact, I got annoyed with him. There was one time we were at the bar and there was about 12 of them, and Garrod Farley and quite a few people, but he's quite abstemious. He doesn't really take a drink.
Abstemious?
Abstemious.
Abstemious.
See the IQ, Tim? Bring that way down to this room.
Abstemious means what?
I'm dying. He's Shane. Bring that way down.
Okay, sorry, forgot Protestant underachievement in education.
Yeah.
Sorry, abstemious. It's a well-known phrase and a word.
It's not well known.
In English Language Act now. It means he doesn't drink much.
Yeah, I see.
Right.
So I was banging around at a bar in Barcelona and I said, right, who wants to drink? And blah, blah, blah.
I thought abstemious was the little area of Barcelona you were in.
Somebody wanted a lemonade, somebody wanted a Coke, and Neil wanted a glass of water. And I said, I cracked up. I was like, for fuck's sake! Is this a fucking stag weekend or a fucking retreat? And it was a lovely weekend. We went and saw Messi and all of that. So Messi play football, but it was,
But the stag wasn't
messy. It was it was definitely not Lionel. No, it was not.
I'd be absolutely infuriated by that. I'm on your side there.
No, you go to a stag weekend, you expect, you get your pass for a few days, you go right, I'm going on the lash.
Yeah, you can do one day.
Because I get my headpiece in Barcelona, would the locals there have been saying like Padre?
Yeah, absolutely. Everywhere I went,
It took me so long to work out what Padre is. I've been sitting for 5 minutes.
I can see your brain going Barcelona.
I'm trying to say Abuelo Andre, but Abuelo is grande.
Yeah.
What's uncle?
Uncle.
I should know that. I have an A-level in Spanish, but I should know that.
Do you?
Yeah. I'd like to see
Abuelo. What? Tío
Andre.
Yeah.
I was getting my piece so much sexier in Spanish. Tío Andre.
Yeah.
That's great.
I had another good joke on that stag as well, by the way.
Were you bringing the party on that?
No,
stag?
I was very pleased because Neil Delamere had a go at me because I was flying from Belfast. I went from Belfast and then flew from Dublin to Barcelona. And Neil Delamere says,
you flew from Belfast to
no,
Dublin
sorry, I drove from Belfast to Dublin and then flew. And Neil Delamere says, you've been in 3 countries today. And I said, no, if we go to Spain, I'll be in 4 countries. Catalonia is an independent.
Yes.
Jesus, the level of education among these people. Catalonia, there's been a big dispute about independent Catalonia.
I'm trying to get independence.
Spain and Catalonia, Northern Ireland and Ireland.
I didn't recognise it.
Political satire is not going well in this tea with me. It's not really your thing, guys.
Timothy, I did key skills. I didn't do Spanish.
Never call him Timothy again.
Timothy, sir,
For the one guy who said, is there any need for sunglasses for the ad rate? Sippers, this episode of the Tea With Me podcast is sponsored by none other than that prize guy. We're talking about Ireland's #1 prize competition site. If you go over to theprizeguy.co.uk right now, you can see everything that he's got going on over there. We're talking draws for sums from anything from like £1,000 to right up to the times that they do £1 million draws. And you heard me right, £1 million. There's millions of things going on every day. Dan, give us an example of a prize that's happening on thatprizeguide.co.uk right now, please.
There's a Rolex Black Submariner watch available.
And that's probably worth what, like $1,000?
$6,000. Cash is the alternative, so the watch is probably worth 7 or 8.
And to be in for a chance to win that, I'd say I'd need to spend 93 quid.
Close, 9p.
How many tickets are being sold for that?
At this moment, only 3% of the tickets have been sold.
Jesus Christ. Will you take the watch or the cash?
You know, I don't have a watch, so I might take the watch.
Thatprizeguide.co.uk, patreon.com/Tea With Me podcast. We've got it all going on over there. If you watch Tea With Me episodes on a Wednesday, if you want that early access, you can get them on a Tuesday, ad-free on Patreon. None of this. You'll be missing out on this. You could watch the ad-free ones on a Tuesday, and then you could tune in just for the ads on a Wednesday if you like. With everything on there, with bonus episodes on a Monday, live stream Fridays, 5 years worth of content with all the specials. The Boozy Bake Off's coming next month.
End of this month.
End of this month, Dan. You're spoiling us. You're spoiling us. Patreon.com/Tea With Me podcast. The link for everything is in the description of the episode. I'd love to see.
My head's sore. I thought we were just going to talk about Justin Timberlake for an hour.
I want to see.
I heard him last night.
Were you there last night, Tim? No.
Get the fuck was I there last night? No, I live opposite where Belsonic is, and it's a pain in the
See, Tim's
back.
a big NSYNC purist, so
Yeah.
he doesn't support their solo careers. But I know you're a big NSYNC guy, a big boy band guy.
Yeah. BLT are playing tonight.
BLT.
So
Were you on the gig Subway?
BLT? No, they're. Is he not playing tonight?
BLT.
Who's playing tonight?
No, see, Tomato left the group. It's just BL now. Who the fuck
Is there
is
some DJ thing
I
tonight?
can't go to that. Sure. My gluten allergy.
BTK. BKT.
Is it a DJ, Tim?
Yes.
MLK, Martin Luther King's back.
And you're
One night
going.
on
It's a
a
Who's
DJ
on
set.
tonight, Dan?
BLK.
What?
BLK.
I was close.
Are you
were?
going? Are you going?
No, I live opposite it. I can.
I can see you wandering in just to tell them to keep it down, and then getting spiked and just getting well into it.
I went to see Madness. They were good. Yeah,
They are brilliant.
Now,
but they're
every guy I saw going to see Madness, every guy I saw going to see Madness had Fred Perry on, some sort of Fred Perry polo shirt, and 2 pints in hand.
yeah, absolutely. There was a lot of 2 pinting going on. Yeah,
It seemed like a great atmosphere. We were saying that actually would have been a great one to go to.
There's a lot of, a lot of Protestants love Madness.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. Weirdly, loyalists love ska.
Oh,
We have
that's
ska.
right, yeah.
I do not know why.
Not guy.
No.
Ska, not guy.
No.
That's what a lot of them say.
Yeah, but they love ska for some reason.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
UB40 and Madness would be 2 big loyalist bands. Like,
Really?
oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
why? Johnny Adair was shot at a UDB.
In the head,
Yeah.
and then
Just his
continued
brain
singing
died,
Red
yeah.
Red Wine.
I believe he was exiled and then he came back just for that concert.
Right.
And they were like, "Why'd you come back?" And he's like,
Bang, UB40.
"It's
have
UB40.
bangers,
That
like.
guy, I'm gonna come back for it."
I give my age away. I was at Glastonbury in 1983.
Wow.
UB40 with a main act, with a headline.
Oh
act
yeah,
in
you were there in 1983.
1983, yeah, when there was proper tents and stuff like that.
This isn't
a muddy
even-
field.
I'm not being cheeky. Were you there when Glastonbury started? Were you live?
What year was
When-
that?
I-
I don't know.
You could have told me it was 2001, I believe it.
I don't know. Yeah,
Was it like a
early-
pilgrimage to get there back then? Like, would you have to walk
yeah.
quite a lot of the way? And
Yeah.
thing?
We didn't have cars in those days. We were to the horse and
They
trap.
had to take the peasant ships over. Hundreds died on the pilgrimage to
coffin
Glastonbury.
ship.
I had to go by Australia.
It was a coffin ship. It was 3 groats to get in.
Who was the headline? Remember?
Yeah, UB40. genuinely,
UB40
yeah,
headline?
we headlined it, yeah.
And did you go proper like camping, like all?
Yeah, yeah,
Because I'm
wet-
not a festival guy.
You're not?
I can't do the.
You can't do tents or... Yeah,
I can do camping as a separate trip.
right?
I can't do
okay.
camping at a festival because I feel vindicated because I've seen footage of people at Glastonbury today and there's
Right.
biblical rain, and you know what that means? They're going to be jumping in shit,
Yeah. You
and
don't
they
do
love that.
You don't like that sort of thing?
No, literally a pig in shit. That guy. there.
The little warthogs out in the
He
festival.
he be running about like Pumbaa,
Yeah,
loving it. Like,
because if you're gonna try and not get dirty at a festival, you're spending 3 days just being weird and like staying out. You just have to embrace you're going to be dirty. You will sleep in muddy clothes. The mud will dry in. You'll do it all again the next day. It's great. It's a great time.
I can't think of anything worse than that.
Yeah.
I went to tea in the park, slept, had a big sleeve of mini cheddars for a snack, but apparently during the sleep they must
you're
have
mental.
fell out of my bag, and I just rolled all over my tent, so just came out covered in mud and mini cheddars.
Yeah. And I
That's the
guarantee
vibe.
you ate them.
Absolutely, I did. 170 up sleep, they're getting eaten.
Was Madness wild, Tim?
Wild isn't quite the right word because
Yeah.
it was gentlemen of a certain age and ladies of a certain age. You know,
Yes.
there was a bit of daddy dancing and a bit of
Just half an hour stretching before the start.
One step beyond. I'd
what
imagine
time's this over at?
you're quite a tall guy. I could imagine when they do one step beyond, you get the legs kicking and all.
Yeah.
Yeah. See me trying to do an impression of someone with long legs. I just look like I'm in Thunderbirds. Yeah.
But yeah, so that was Glastonbury in what, the 80s?
1983.
And was it like a good atmosphere?
Oh, it was brilliant. Yeah, no, it was really good fun. Eye opener as well. You know, kind of not just the bands and all of that. And it was supported by Greenpeace, Muddy Fields. They had what were called hot knife stands. I'd never seen this. You know, the drugs were
Hot knife?
Do you know what? I
Hot
know what a
knife
hot
stand.
knife is, but I was like, this must be something different.
Just
What
as
McGarry
a
like,
hot knife stand. Basically,
it?
you paid money, and a hot knife is basically you get some dope and you heat up two knives,
Timothy.
and then you put one knife on top of the other, and the smoke is very intense, and then you suck it up through a bottle. No, I wasn't. I was viewing these rather than partaking in those. I was.
Yeah, just getting a real close look. Oh, it's all different. Did they have buckets
was-
back in your day?
Buckets.
Buckets.
So
So
do we have buckets? Buckets have
No,
been,
but like,
buckets
So-
have been invented for a long time, my friend.
but not these buckets. So like, get it like a 2-litre
Hats.
bottle.
sorry, this is like a BBC Three documentary. You see where two generations get to talk to each other.
The fact I'm,
Did you have buckets? Oh, I had buckets.
I'm having this conversation
Romans
with
had
Da.
buckets.
This is mental. So you sort of you cut a hole in like the top of the 2-litre bottle, and you
50 questions.
You fill it with like
That's that.
tin foil and a bit of dope, and then you
Tinfoil.
light it, and then the smoke will come down through the bottle. Then you take the lid off the bottle and
Right.
inhale that.
Well, this is kind of something similar.
Yeah, similar.
Yeah, similar sort of thing. But they had official, stands like when they were selling these sort of things, and you go.
I like that you were like
a
a-
wee lad, innocent lad from Belfast. Go, oh, you what drugs? Like open.
Tim, have you ever smoked the dope?
No, it did nothing for me. It did nothing for me except get me addicted to bloody nicotine. You know?
Yeah.
That's genuinely. You know, I don't do drugs. Don't like them.
No,
But it's not too late to
neither,
get
Tim.
into the game.
Full-
Like,
Well, do you know what? You know, I turned 61 this week.
Did
And
you?
I thought, yeah.
perfect time to get into the coke game.
Well, that's what I thought. You know, why not? You who's gonna shout at me for you know?
Do you know what? Even though no one
I'm
would,
going Shane Tall. I got a couple of bumps just to keep me going here. You know.
even though no one would, you would take
Apparently
it
that's
still.
what you say. It's a bump.
It is a bump.
It's a bump.
It's a bump or a key.
Yeah,
some
a key.
of them say.
But the people are openly taking. I was at something recently, and there were people openly like.
Give my headpiece live.
No, all the drugs at our gigs are prescription.
The rattling of people walking in.
So there's four. There's a lot of
Kerr comes,
Cocodamol
time
going
for
around.
your trails now. Don't you forget. It's insulting my audience, by the way. Or we have a very wide, eclectic audience.
Have you guys finished touring?
Yeah, we're on sale for the next year, actually. We're on tour with Give Me a Headpiece next March. So, yeah, last
Don't
weekend.
stop, man.
We don't stop, no. And yeah, no, it's good.
And we've found recently crowds are getting a little bit rowdy these days. Or I have anyway. I sort of dragged you into that without asking you. Crowds are getting a little bit rowdy. Do you guys ever get rowdy members?
Yeah, drunkards and stuff, people who don't know how to behave in it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And how do you deal with it? Because we can, like, you know, in stand up, you can just go
rude.
fuck up.
Yeah, well, I just tell them to shut up. I really don't like them.
Yeah.
I don't like drunks, you know. Well, I did get in trouble. I was in the Opera House. I've told this before. I was in the Opera House on the end of March there. And one of the last shows, packed theatre and all of that, and there was a guy sitting in the front row with this thing, looked like a camera, looked like he was filming the stuff. So the cast was back there, somebody's fucking filming there. We'll go to front of the house, and front of the house said they would deal with it. Nobody dealt with it. I come out and do a stand-up bit. This guy's sitting there with this you know this is going to. And I go, are you filming this? Didn't my fucking, you're not supposed to be, turn that fucking thing off, turn it off. And of course, it's his hearing aid. Was the care beside him saying, it's his hearing aid.
Why was he holding it down
basically
there?
insulted a guy.
Why was he holding
I
it?
don't know. It was like a pack, but with a light on it. You know, but it was.
Oh, right, okay.
What?
Yeah, it was like this pack. Yeah,
The hearing loop thing.
Hearing
It's a
loop thing.
in the arena or the
Right.
venue.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
So I basically insulted a deaf guy. And, yeah.
So the feed from the microphones, they give
Yeah.
him a box and he plugs his ear into it.
Yeah.
Something along those lines, yeah.
But it did look like
Just
it
looks
was
like an old radio
Do you know what
Or-
my dad would call that, and it's completely wrong, but he's 75, white man's magic. Anything.
Find that sell somehow.
Well, tell him I'm 61 now.
I'll give him a ring. Tim McGarry's looking. I can't be on the news. Who's to blame for Tim McGarry and Dane? I can't.
This is part of like you have a long game plan to host a blame game, but you get Tim completely cooked up.
We Angus
outside the
Dayton, Tim.
BBC
Yeah.
going any Jenny odds.
Do you remember that? You say you're going to Angus Dayton him. Do you remember that episode of Have I Got News For You? Where the first episode after his
Yes,
cocaine
he'd
scandal,
been snorting
which is
coke
crazy.
off of young
Prostitute.
ladies. Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
crazy thing about that is,
Why'd
like,
you do that?
if he did that in 2025 nowadays, probably
Yeah.
suspend him for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But like back then, he was treated like a war criminal.
Well, initially they didn't suspend him. The
Yeah.
BBC didn't even really punish him. The reason they had to get rid of him is because I think Paul Merton was friends with Angus Dayton's wife. So then Merton kind of made it his mission
Yeah.
to sink anything Dayton did on the show. So anytime Dayton did a joke,
Yeah.
be like, oh, and he's say it's like, oh, I'm Boris Johnson, disgraced publicly, and Paul Merton would go, what's that like?
Yeah,
And he would do it for like 2
yeah.
hours to the point.
Yeah.
It was like, it's quite clear they will not work together.
Because that show was incredible. When it was the original lineup,
Yeah.
it was
I
incredible.
did it very good, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there'd be some like guest hosts where you would go, oh, if he's hosting it or she's hosting it, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
But then it just changed so much. But there was the Jimmy Carr one as well, after his tax scandal.
Oh, yeah.
The next 8 out of 10 cats he did, he was the punchline for everything.
Yep, yeah, but I think him and Sean Locke were friends, so it was Sean Locke going, I need
Yeah.
to take the piss out of you for this,
Yeah,
but it wasn't the
It
same.
got very personal, yeah. Got nasty,
Merton,
yeah.
is it Merton or Merson?
Merton. Paul Merton.
Paul Merson's a footballer, isn't
Yeah. You think Paul Merton played for Arsenal?
So I think he just had the mission of, I do hate you,
Yeah.
and we're going to sink the show, like.
Yeah.
I got sacked out of the blame game one year, and they decided to do it. Angus Dayton. They thought, "I'll tell you what, we'll be like, have I got news for you in England? We'll get A-list stars to come and present for."
That's right, I remember
And then
this.
they
Do you know
realised this
one?
is Northern Ireland, and went, "All right, who are we getting? All right."
I tell you what, the first 3 or so,
Lembit Opik.
I think the first 3 or so were like people you'd heard of.
Yeah.
And then it just, and then the campaign, BBT, Bring Back Tim, led by Tim.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It only took 2 years. Yeah.
but actually,
When did this happen? Because
Well-
I did not know.
15 years?
Yeah, it's a long time ago, but I was very upset.
but there was a huge thing of like, what the fuck, just get Tim back.
I'd be outraged if
William
you weren't
Crawley did one of the radio shows, and well, I like William. William's a bright guy, but Delamere,
They normally aren't.
Delamere made a joke, and William said, as chairman of it, said, "But that's not true." And Neil went, "Yeah, I know, William. It's a joke. You know, it's a comedy."
I remember the Lembit Opik one. I remember
Yeah.
when he was hosting. I think he was dating one of the cheeky girls at the time.
Yes,
He was.
So it was just such a wrong fit. I think Eamon Holmes did one,
Yeah.
and then they saw sense in the bro.
Yeah.
We laughed.
I'm just remembering him
Eamon Holmes falling off the chair. Yeah, you saw that in good. On,
Yes, I did. See
This is
that.
my
Jimmy
favourite
News.
impression he's ever done. Do Eamon Holmes after he's fell off the chair, but he wants the show to keep going.
So he wouldn't let the camera cut back to him.
Yeah.
So it just showed the guy looking really concerned, and then you could just hear Eamon's voice, but he was so embarrassed and angry at the same time, and he literally says, "Don't look at me," and then just kept dropping in, like, you know, observations on politics as well.
from under a desk.
From under the desk. I mean, don't burn the boats, but you know, lightly incinerate them.
Can't say anything anymore.
Yeah.
Do help me up now. Just this one, another one. Seriously, I'm on
They're
the
giving
ground.
them gym memberships. And there was a rumour that like one of the screws on the chair had been loose anyway, but it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, no. It's if you're on GB News, you lose all sense of balance.
Yeah.
Get in.
Oh, yes, Tim.
Hello.
Yes, Tim.
Thank you very much.
And you wanted him out.
I love it. They make Tim an offer tomorrow. He's like, I take it back. Sippers, this episode of the Tea With Me podcast is sponsored by none other than NordVPN, the #1 virtual private network. This is an application you can put on your phone, and not just one account for one phone. One account can go on 10 devices, phones, iPads, laptops, all that kind of stuff. And what it does is, if you're joining things like public Wi-Fi, it protects all your security details, all your passwords, banking info, and then also what you can do with it is hide your IP address, pretend you're in a different part of the world that you actually are. So I was in Toronto doing a tour show with Willy T last week. Me and Willy T said to NordVPN, pretend we're in Belfast, and we were able to sit for 3 hours and watch episodes of, on BBC iPlayer from Northern Ireland, we were watching flipping
Hope Street.
Hope Street. So you can do that thanks to that was the only way we could watch Hope Street was NordVPN. NordVPN.com. And Dan, if people want to avail of our discount, what would they do?
They'll go to nordvpn.com/tea with me.
Tea with me. And that's in the description. It's all in the description anyway.
In the description. All they offer everything.
Thank you very much.
I saw there was an old GB News presenter who was black is suing them for discrimination,
Right.
saying they're racist and you're like,
No.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I can't believe that.
I know.
Is it 24/7?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Is it like a
I'll be honest
24
with you, man,
news
I'm not up at 5 a.m. being like, I'll stick on
show? Yeah.
GB News.
But I
Is
don't.
Arlene Foster on today?
Yeah,
She's on it.
She does. Yeah, she does the 12th and stuff, doesn't she? I think she does. She does the coverage of the 12th of July because the BBC wouldn't do it live.
Fuck.
I know.
BBC News went yes.
Yeah.
Well, we'll do it.
Yeah, because the 12th coverage has like the in football it's the 3 o'clock blackout,
Right.
which is a show on GB News actually. But it's like
There's an S in it.
yeah, you can't show it live, and so people will go to it to do that with the 12th. And then they have that 12th match of the day coverage. Where they'll be like, Ballymena,
Highlights.
that was a good one.
I love the idea of DAZN buying the 12th.
They do, and they have that, they're like, see, he was marching here, he should have been up here. They do, that's, me and my family go to the 12th, come home, and then watch coverage of the parade you were just at. They're like, and that was the Belfast highlights. Over to Ballymena, it could be all the same song.
Tim, we've told this in the pod before, but you'll not know this. So, I think, but 2 years ago, Willy just texted me out of the blue one day and goes, mate, I just want to say, he goes, mate, I just want to say I love you and I hope you know that. And I read that as like something's
Right.
terribly wrong here.
Right.
So I texted him back and was like, mate, I'm putting the kids to bed here, but if you need me to come meet you or just text me and let me know where you are, and I'd love to meet up for a chat and that sort of thing. The bastard was at the 12th having a great time. He sent me a picture of himself sitting outside Benedict's at Shaftesbury Square with a pair of Union Jack sunglasses on.
And like three fat lads, like,
No, I just want to say I love you. I thought he was going to kill himself. And he was like, no, I'm having the time of my life.
Do you not go to the 12th? You know the 12th man?
no, he hates it.
I have no like
Affiliation.
affiliation to anything.
Have you ever been to one?
I haven't. No, I did. We did a show called The Long and the Short of It about Irish history, and I was in Derry for the burning of Lundy. They burn Lundy every December. You know Lundy, the traitor of 16.
Pretend we do.
Yep, Lundy.
Tell us who that is.
Yeah.
Genuinely tell us who
Siege
that
of Derry, 1689. Very important moment in Irish history. If
Yep.
Derry had fallen, world history would have changed. Genuinely world. Anyway,
is. But hold on. But oh, is this when they were like barricaded in?
Yeah, yes, the walls of Derry.
Yeah,
Derry's
yeah, yeah.
walls.
Yeah.
Never-
And they
It's
tried
not
to
the song.
starve them out and
It's
stuff.
called the Maiden City because the walls of Derry have never been breached like a true maiden. Siege of Derry, 1689.
Heart and hand, sword and shield. We'll guard old Derry's walls.
So guard old Derry.
And who was this guy, Lundy, then?
Lundy was he was the governor, but the people of Derry thought he was a traitor, and he's regarded as like a Judas or a Quisling or something. He's a traitor.
And was he a traitor or were they
Well,
just...
then we did a whole documentary about it, the long and the short of it. Find out.
Didn't see it.
Not really.
Didn't-
Protestant underachievement. How has this happened? I do not know. You do not know your own fucking history.
No, I know my
Anyway,
version.
the point is,
I know my
every
version.
year
I know
they-
the ones we win. I know those ones.
Well, you won this one. For fuck's sake, you didn't know it. Siege of Derry, you won that one. Prods won, Gigs nil. Come on.
They don't teach us. Our history starts in like 1995. They don't teach us before that.
I love the way you said that like a football score.
Oh, yeah.
Stenhouse Mule 1, Dumbarton 0. Prods 1, Tags.
Anyway, the point is, the apprentice boys of Derry have a big thing, and they burn an effigy of Lundy every December. And it was the first time at that sort of a gig where there were thousands of loyalists and bands and stuff like that. And the crack was excellent. Now, partly because it's Da and all that was in loads of selfies, you know,
Yeah.
so it wasn't necessarily your average Catholic. Who
Yes.
came along there.
But I would say, like, I would
But
bring...
genuinely, there was a nice family atmosphere. The crack was good. You know,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. The
So
people
I
of Derry
think
were lovely.
I'd be the coolest guy at the 12th if I managed to bring Da.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
yeah.
What?
I would consider him.
We could do a gig on the field as well. We could do a stage. We could
Oh,
have
we
a
don't-
mini. Instead of the main stage is just guys talking about the Bible and Fenians are taking over, and we could have a sort of sub stage. You know,
I'll tell you, there's a lot of hot knife stations going on in that thing. There's
And UB40.
I have been offered ones like that though, like bonfires and stuff. It's like, would you come and do stand up at it? And I'm like, that you don't want that.
No, you don't.
It would be the worst idea.
Yeah.
It would be so
And
bad.
you would be very like early Hitler with it. Like you would go, and all of a sudden you'd be doing your set. It
early.
wouldn't-
I'm just doing paintings. What's an
No,
early
you,
Hitler?
You would be doing your set. They wouldn't be that into it. Then you would go, I'll say the stuff I know they'll start liking, and then all of a sudden you're leading a revolution.
All of a sudden, I'm on UTV and I'm up.
You're at
just
GB
getting a
News.
photo of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Wee Willy, like, you know,
Yeah.
on the march.
I turned the Christmas tree lights on the Shankill one year.
Did you?
Yeah.
Flex.
Did the countdown in Irish.
Everyone in the crowd getting PTSD.
What year was that?
I was a few, 5, 6, I can't remember, just 5, 6 years ago, more. Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
You've done Christmas lights before, like switch on.
I did Hollywood here
Did you?
I've never,
Yeah,
I've
in-
never done them anywhere.
in like 2018 or something. Now, I'll be honest, a bit like reinstate you to the blame game.
Yeah.
I
You
was
haven't been asked back?
I was behind the campaign.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm only joking about that, but I actually was. I did basically get in touch with the council and was like,
You'll do it.
let me do it.
You'll do it.
I had a stand-up show about my dream being to switch on the Christmas lights, and I
Think
needed
big, my friend.
what?
Think big.
I needed the end. I needed it to have happened for the end of the show, so I had to get in touch with them and go, I would like to do this. They'd asked me the year before and I couldn't do it, so I was like, I would like to do it this year, and I did it. And it was me and the mayoress
Right.
of North Down, whoever that was at the time, and we got to the podium bit, and the person talking us through it goes, I was doing like 10 minutes of stand up, which was great because I was just talking about Hollywood, so it actually was really good. And then they go, then there'll be the countdown, and you do the whole thing, and there's a big red button, and you know, Shane, obviously you hit it and that sort of thing, and that was to be the moment. And Fosty was filming it to wrap up the stand-up special that we were doing, and at the last minute the mayoress just pulls the mayoress card and goes, listen, I'm hitting the button. And I said, no, you're not. And she said, I'm the mayoress, I hit the button. We do the countdown together, but my hand hits that button.
Yeah.
Now she was I'd say in her 60s,
Aye.
so when we got to 3, 2, see when we hit 1, I hit it.
Elbowed.
I hit it. We have the footage. I hit it, and she was livid.
I gotta be quick to beat your big fucking fingers too, like. you have to be quick because you can.
This, it's not this kind of episode.
No, but I mean, you know, just your big claw, like you have to be quick to beat that.
I do a big
Is it a
long.
big hand? Is it?
I don't have necessarily a big hand. Did you have
Oh,
one?
you have huge hands.
Tim
Don't
has
have
big
huge hands. They're
hands,
tiny hands.
but you have very
God.
thin fingers.
Yeah. Well, those are the hands of a creator, an artist. They're not the hands of a workman.
Terrifying. Also, take the sound out. You look like a wizard casting a spell.
Saruman.
That's like the redoing Lord of the Rings. I'd love you to be Gandalf.
Yes, that's what I'm.
Oh, that'd be so good.
Ganda.
Oh,
Yeah, there we go.
Give my headpiece. They need to do Lord of the Rings.
100%. We do that. I'm I'm Orlando Bloom's character.
yeah.
Legolas.
You're Saruman and you're
Yeah.
Gimli, and all you need to do for that is you change your
Gimli.
beard. Yeah,
Gimli.
Gimli.
I'd be a great wee Gimli. But no, I have wee hobbit feet too, though.
Tim, who's your favourite Irish historical figure, or is there someone
Oh.
like people wouldn't necessarily know about, but you think it's an incredible story?
Charles Stewart Parnell.
Is he Parnell? People talk about when people say Parnell, is that him?
Yeah, well, he's technically Parnell, but most modern people call him Parnell, but he called himself Parnell. George Stewart Parnell, Protestant landowner from Wicklow, became the head of the Irish Home Rule movement in the 1890s. 1880s, 1890s, brought down by an affair. Well, not really an affair, but it was a big scandal.
He
at
got
the time.
Angus Dayton.
He got completely Angus Dayton, yeah, in 1889 because he had an affair with a woman called Catherine O'Shea. You ever all the pubs around there, Kitty O'Shea? Heard of Kitty O'Shea?
Yeah.
Charles Stewart Parnell was brought. He was the head of the Irish Home Rule Party. They were doing very, very well. This woman O'Shea was married to a guy called Willy O'Shea. Had the marriage ended year. It was in name only, but then Willy O'Shea hated Parnell and exposed the fact that he was getting divorced and that Parnell was having an affair with his wife, and became a massive, huge scandal. And Parnell was condemned from the pulpits and split the Irish Home Rule Party for another 20 years. But he could have been. He was known as the uncrowned king of Ireland.
So if he hadn't have been a dirty bastard, what effects?
Whoa! It was an entirely legitimate affair. This woman was the marriage had broken down, and they loved each other and married, and eventually had.
Tim, it was 200 years ago. You're not fixing it now. You don't need to PR this guy.
Right.
The damage is done.
Tim Jeremy Kylan.
Yeah.
1890 is not 200 years ago, my friend.
Yeah.
I don't know about
Right,
the maths in Protestant
sorry.
schools, but
So
you know, to be
300
honest with
years
you-
ago, it's not happening. But what would have been the effects?
We could have had Irish home rule. We could have had home rule in a united Ireland about the 1890s.
But he just had the.
It just had. I mean, you your pros were going to fight it, but
But
I mean,
what did
it
Kitty
might-
O'Shea look like though?
Well-
we need to see pictures.
Well, there aren't photographs. I don't know. There are other photographs of Kitty O'Shea. That's a good crowd. I'm not sure.
nobody back then was hot anyway. I think it's the style.
Well,
and the way
yeah,
they photograph
nobody
people.
smiled in those days in photographs. There
Yes.
was a thing
I don't
on-
think you could.
Yeah, there was a
It's like
thing
the
on
photo
Radio
wouldn't-
4 about why people all smile now in photographs. In the old days, they didn't because they just didn't.
I
And
thought.
because you had to keep still for 5 seconds for the photograph.
Yeah, it was that so you couldn't hold that face.
Roger Casement of Casement Park's an interesting guy as well.
Yes.
Was he Protestant?
He was Protestant. Roger Casement was educated in Ballymena, of all places. Roger Casement went to school in Ballymena. Roger Casement's father died in the Adair Arms Hotel in Ballymena. So I think they should build Casement Park and then move it to Ballymena.
You gotta be
I think
popular with
that
local
would
residents.
solve a lot of the issues. You know? Though I did love the guy who came on Nolan's show, you know, complaining.
Whoa, hold on.
No,
Yeah.
no, he said if the Casement Park goes ahead, the Republicans, you know what they'll do? They'll rename it after some Republican or other. Genuinely, I had no idea who Sir Roger Casement was.
I would love one guy to phone into the Nolan show and just go, just let you know I'm loving life.
Everyone,
Tim just want to let you know, cheer up, lad.
everyone's going brilliant.
Yeah.
Everybody's happy.
Because wasn't it like Friday was the more lighthearted one, and then it just started to get like all the
Yeah.
rest.
Yeah, I just love one guy to be like, mate, sun's out. Smile.
Yeah.
A wee bag of crisps in you. Have a good time.
Sounds like taps off. No. Keep yours on.
It's my favourite local showbiz feud. It's only going to be settled at Misfits Boxing.
Oh, if we ever do comedians boxing, it's you and Nolan.
Blocked on Twitter, yeah.
Are you?
Yeah, blocked on Twitter.
Why?
Because
I have no idea.
I know.
I have no idea.
I've said it on the pod before, and I said it to him, and he's like, I don't know what's it about. I had a lot of following and unfollowing
Right,
from his account over the years.
Right.
You know, just no rhyme or reason.
right.
So, but then I did a show over the phone like a few months ago, and it was a good interview. But then, and he obviously tries to, you know, I felt during it that it was like a rule of 3 where there would be like 2 light questions, and then a put you on the spot question, and then I felt like I was doing like, you know, the gif of like Zach Galifianakis when he sees all the equations.
Yeah.
I was ready then for the third one. But then, I don't know, then also when he's doing those interviews, I think there's like a whole team in the earpiece. So it's like you're actually going up against like 10 people.
Yeah.
You did one of my favourite bits you ever did. I used to love this bit where you would talk about how you always tried to end the show on a light note after a very...
Oh, it was the TV show. So I did warm up for it. I think I told you that.
Oh.
I did warm up for a series of Nolan Live. This is maybe 10 years ago. So it was like a huge break for me because the money was great. You were you felt like you were in a BBC all of a sudden.
And you found your audience.
Exactly. And the first week I went to do it, I had a dressing room, and you do 15 minutes of stand up at the start, and the first week was unbelievable. Had this dressing room, the set was great. Like I did 15 minutes of stand up, crowd were well into it. I'd had another 9 weeks. It was horrendous. First of all, they made a mistake giving me the dressing room. So the next week I showed up, they were like, you should never have had a dressing room. I was like, I don't need one. And they were like, yeah, well, you don't have a dressing room. And then the set was always terrible because the people there were there to talk about horrific things, like horrific ordeals they've been through. And you're doing 15 minutes of stand-up that nobody wants. Like, nobody wants it. But I noticed on the show, the last interview would always be like, there'd be a bit of politics at the start, a celebrity interview. I say celebrity.
Yeah.
Someone on.
Yeah.
And then there would be something like harrowing. And it was people from the front row were sort of brought on, or the camera would cut over them. But they're the front row eye line if you're set. So I'm like, why did that guy not like my bit about, you know, Daz from Northern Ireland loving an Ulster fry? And then 40 minutes later, I'm like, because he's here to talk about something horrific that happened to him.
Yeah.
But he would have a musical guest at the end, but the harrowing interview always came just before that. So he would have some woman would be like, my bit was like some woman would be talking about a horrendous ordeal that her whole family went through, and everyone being on the edge of their seat, and a single tear would form in the corner of her eye, and it was just about to roll to the bottom of her cheek, and Nola would stop her and go, Sharon, I'm going to stop you here. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hit single wagon wheel. Let's go nuts for Nathan Carter. And I believe and the thing is, she would still be on the stage crying, and the culties would just be absolutely loving it.
And that was your favourite bit of his stuff.
It's a hard bit. Yeah, it's a hard bit. But I just love that idea because I just have that image in my head of just like, and hopefully we can find justice for your son. All right, now we're throwing Chico in a bath of baked beans here. Which I'd love to show more if they were talking about, you know, horrendous murders, and Chico is chipping in from the we're going live to the bath of baked beans.
We'll see the results of the inquest, of course, when they come out. But ladies and gentlemen, the cheeky girls are back. Let's go. There was also the super fan guy. So during the show, they brought some fella in, some really awkward guy into the green room, and they introduced him to me, and they went, Shane, this is Michael or whatever. They went, he's a super fan, he's really excited, and left me with him. And I was asking him about
yours or no?
I was asking him about all gigs he'd been to, and I was like, you know, thank you very much. And he had a thing he wanted to get signed, and then toward the end of the conversation I went, do you want me to sign that? He's like, no. And I went, oh, maybe he's like got a condition or something. He was a fan of Spandau Ballet, who were on the show, but no one told me that. So I was talking to him like he was a huge fan of me for 10 minutes. And I was like, God, he's so nervous he can't even look me in the eye.
Me and you did a gig with Spandau Ballet recently.
Oh,
Tim McGarry, William Thompson, and Spandau Ballet.
Oh, you were the BBC.
Was this on the Fantasy Boys cruise? They were wet. That's a different band.
Yeah. And it's 3 wet. That's you doing a wet tribute, like, and you don't know. I don't know where wet. 6 of us, and we all want to do it.
We're fucking soaking.
So what was the gig you, Tim, and Spandau Ballet were on?
It was 100 years of BBC Northern Ireland, wasn't it?
It was indeed, yeah.
And
you were there at the first show, so get you on.
Yes. As a 40-year-old man.
Yeah.
That's why I know my history.
Yeah, you're there. But yeah, it was like the 100 years of BBC, so they had that TV pilot of it.
Yeah.
So I was doing what you were doing for the Nolan show.
Yes.
For that. Very nervous, terrified, Tim wasn't helping because
He's probably coked up.
every time I came off, like it was the initial, it was hard at the start, and every time I came off, people were like, "You're doing fine, don't worry about it." Tim's in my going, "You're fucking shit."
That is not true. That is a
I came
lie.
off and he's like, "Hard crowd, aren't they?" I'm like, "Oh, fuck."
Thank God for our generation of stand-up. We're nice to the guys coming through.
Yeah.
Who else was
Always
on as part of-
supportive.
So
Always
what does Spandau Ballet have to do with 100 years of BBC?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
I think they were available.
Is it just that True is a great song?
They did what's the one through the
Gold?
barricade?
No,
Through the Barricades?
Yeah.
That's a great song.
Yeah.
That is a great song.
It is a song. Yeah.
It's
one of the songs of all time.
I mocked that song once because I was like, what's this? You know, oh yeah, you know, they've been to Belfast once and they write this song, and I was like, is it like a glory hole kind of thing, like Through the Peace Wall? And then someone told me the real reason for the song, which is like a heartbreaking real life story about somebody they know, and I was like,
I didn't know that, and I feel really bad.
great song.
Yeah.
I actually like it.
But yeah, Christine Lampard was hosting it, who was the nicest person I've ever met.
I'm in the room here, buddy.
You were in the room there too. You were a bastard. I got my revenge because you went on to do like a wee speech and then you came off and I was like, "Fuck's sake, I had them warmed up, Tim, and you did that." Who else was up? Was
David
me?
Quinn will go and give me a headpiece when a new actor comes on to give me a
Yeah.
headpiece, and there's 300 in this studio, and Damon always takes him to one side and goes, "Listen, don't be worrying about the audience. Don't be worrying about that. That's only 300 people. Don't worry about them. Worry about the 350,000 who are watching it on TV. All the best muckers."
Was Van on that or anything at that concert?
Van wasn't
No,
there.
I
No.
couldn't afford Van.
Have you gigged with Van before, Tim? Have you hosted
No,
anything he's been on?
no, I haven't actually. I sold a guitar to The Edge a couple of weeks ago. That was my claim to fame.
You got what?
I sold a guitar to The Edge.
I thought you said I
he
got
sold
tarred.
guitar.
All right.
What?
I equally weird thought you said you got tarred by The Edge, as in some sort of like prank, and I was like, that's still pretty cool.
Sold a guitar to the
I
edge.
sold a guitar to The Edge, yeah.
Hold on. You, Tim McGarry,
Yeah.
sold a musical instrument, a guitar, to the
The
Edge
Edge.
from U2.
Yes.
I was thinking of a different Edge.
How many Edges are there?
the wrestler.
There's a wrestler called Edge.
There's a wrestler called Edge.
There's a huge wrestler called Edge, and that's why I
Right.
was like, "How the fuck you know Edge?" Like, tell
The
me.
Edge surely has access to whatever kind of guitars you want.
The Edge has access
What
to
makes him
several.
go on to West Belfast Buy and Sell on Facebook to get in touch with Tim McGarry?
This was a charity do I was at, and The Edge was the main guy there.
Yeah.
He was doing a talk and stuff, and I was the auctioneer, so I was auctioning a guitar, a George Loudon guitar.
So it's not one of yours.
No, it's not.
Right, I
guitar.
thought the Edge directly got in touch with you.
No,
And then
no.
I was like, I didn't know you were an Axeman, Tim.
No, it was this exclusive charity dinner for 60 people, and he was the main guest, and they were selling all these very expensive prizes, or auction items, including a George Loudon guitar.
Because that's a local company, isn't it? Loudon Guitars.
George Loudon, yeah. There
He
was
makes-
Was it all like high profile people at the auction?
people with too much money, yeah.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
fact,
And who dropped out?
The people who
That
were
you
so
did it?
much money, people with so much. Yes. In fact, very obvious joke. But consistent
like
with your material. No, so the George Loudon came up and was describing his guitar and all that. And I said, well, there's a man in the room who might be able to actually play the guitar. And The Edge come up and give a wee jam. And then because it was for charity, there was an auction. And there was a guy who was so drunk that he was bidding against the fucking Edge. And I said, listen, I appreciate you're going, this is for charity, you're doing a great thing, but you are bidding against the fucking Edge. I said, well, I don't know much about him, but I think he's worth about 300 million
Yeah.
quid. But you keep going, my friend.
He's
Tim-
got it, like, yeah.
Are you consistent with people? Like, were you being like with the Edge, like you were William? Were you telling him shite in between or everything, or were you cozying up to the Edge?
No, I was not cozying up to the Edge. I would not
I
cozy up to the
bet
Edge.
you were.
No, I just told him that one of my first ever gigs was at U2 in 1978 in the Ulster Hall when there were only 300 people there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm still fell out with you two. I'm sure they
You're still, I fell out with you.
Because he thinks I'm hilarious, by the way. 'Cause,
Edge?
I'll probably be doing their warm up for their next tour. Yeah.
Tim at the Sphere in Vegas.
Genuinely said I was very funny.
Just you like zipping round the roof, just doing bits.
Hey, Jim Alister's an arsehole. What?
Spinning like
Is this mic not working?
doing like pink.
Get down.
But I still have beef with you two.
Why?
I feel a lot of people.
Well, let me know and I'll speak to the Edge and see if we can sort this out.
Give them a ring for me. Remember, they put their album on all our phones.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was on the iPods as well.
Yeah.
How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb album.
No, it was.
It was How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb. It was How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb.
Wasn't.
I think it was Songs of Innocence.
Songs of Innocence.
Songs of Innocence.
It was Songs of Innocence.
Songs of Innocence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shane, it was Songs of Innocence.
You
There's
were
other
so
albums I
adamant.
wouldn't have minded being
Yeah.
on our phones, but that one.
Which one in particular did you not mind?
Joshua Tree would be nice on the phone.
Do you know what? You could have put anything. It was the fact that I just got noticed. Like I didn't want that on there, and if you could have taken it off, it was fine. But then when you put your songs on shuffle, and you're trying to have like a wee R&B throwdown, and then just the Songs of Innocence came on.
Did you ever look up how to remove it?
Yeah.
Because you had to go through. You had to like go to the forest to speak to a wizard.
Yeah.
There was like 80 steps to get rid
Tim
of this.
Beeler
album.
and sell you guitar. Yeah,
I love the idea that the Edge came up to Tim after and went, "Yeah, really funny. I like the set," and Tim just blushing.
I love it if you
Blushing.
big league them. But cheers, lad. Play a bit yourself, dude.
Not now, Edge. You're busy, mate.
Tim, this maybe goes against the auctioneer's code.
Yeah.
But could you give us a ballpark idea of how much you paid for that guitar? Bear in mind it was going to charity.
Yeah, I think I'm allowed to say. I'm sure I am.
Or give us an equivalent. Like, what could you buy with that? The same amount as a.
Oh, you could buy 2 Shane Todd corporates.
700 grand for a guitar?
22 grand he paid for it.
I thought it would have been more.
Yeah.
That's pocket change to him.
Well, of course it is.
I think if you asked him for it, he might give you it if he's in a good mood. If you just go, can I have 22 grand?
When we played that.
Just as he brings us home to the family, they go, "Oh, fucking guitar." You don't have to think outside
I asked you to get milk for fuck's sake.
Anything else? Like, how many guitars have you got, Mr. Hedge?
Mr. Hedge?
What was the first concert
He's
you
a
ever
very
went to?
nice man. What?
What was the first concert you ever went to?
The very first concert I ever went to, I saw Stiff Little Fingers supporting the Tom Robinson Band in the Whitla Hall. In
Stiff Little Fingers still going?
Yeah, of course they are. They
Alternative Ulster?
they do the Custom House Square every August. Yeah.
Have I never called a show Stiff Little Fingers?
I was at Justin Timberlake concert last night, and we were leaving and saw behind the stage like the exit of him from stage, and it's like a military leader getting away from a war. Like there's like 5 vehicles like on standby.
Yeah, tell you who's not driving them? Him.
No. What? Oh,
Why? Because he
DUI,
fucking,
that's right.
like 2 weeks before his tour started, it hammered.
That's right.
Just doing fucking donuts in a car park.
That's right.
He did. He got
Really?
a DUI like 2 weeks before.
In Vegas, was it, or something?
Yeah, and he was like, "You can't arrest me. I'm on tour." And they were like, "It's not how the law works at all."
That's why Tim constantly is on tour now. This coke officer that I meant to in Castlevania.
It's my birthday. Come on.
I have to do the forum. Come on.
But it was mad to just see that the frenzy kind of
Right.
around, just getting him out of there. And then I think he'd taken like a helicopter from Dublin to Belfast, landed at 5:30, in to do the show, straight back to Dublin.
Yeah,
But
well, Give Me a Headpiece in Larne is very similar to that. Very similar to that.
But I saw clips of him on stage, and he had like 4 coats on, and he just looked like a big awkward teenager who didn't want to speak to anyone. He was just
Yeah.
on like his on stage banter was like, "It's cold, isn't it? All right, sexy, but like
yes,
it didn't look like amazing, but I wasn't at it.
I enjoyed it. I think his band were unbelievable.
Yeah,
There was a lot of heavy lifting being done there. The band were great. They had like a backing choir.
yeah.
They were all great.
He gave me the vibe of like, did you ever someone in your family like bring their girlfriend to meet the family for the first time and she's like a wee bit of a bitch, doesn't speak to anyone?
Right.
It's like it's an effort to get
Well,
conversation.
I think he was doing a lot of like, you guys sing it, and we were going,
All right.
you sing it,
Yeah,
please.
yeah.
And there was there was a lot of like, he'd sing a line of it and then stand back, and then we'd do 10 lines of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it didn't look amazing.
We were paying to sing his
Yeah.
songs.
Yeah.
Who has a great routine about that?
Not me.
Lee
Lee
Mack.
Mack, Robin
Lee Mack,
Williams, yeah.
You
Yeah.
fucking,
We
yeah.
paid 80 quid, you sing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it did look that vibe of like the contractual. I'm being paid to be here,
Yeah.
and that's nothing
Contractual
more.
obligation.
That's the
Yes.
one. There's the
Yeah.
lawyer in him. There you go.
Yes,
Contractual
yes.
obligation.
Who'd be a better lawyer, me or him?
Well,
Who'd be a better lawyer?
lawyer.
Lawyer.
You'd be a far better lawyer. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're. Do you know any Latin? Do you know any?
Kerberos?
What?
Kerberos?
Kerberos?
Dog.
Cerberus.
My Cerberus is called Kerberos.
Oh, right.
No, my Kerberos is called Cerberus.
Are you spitting bars at me right now? No, Cerberus is the three-headed dog that.
No, he'd be a bit
Guards
of a
the underworld?
You'd be a bit of a Rottweiler in court, wouldn't you? You'd be.
Oh, yeah.
You'd be. Yeah.
I'd be the Johnny Cochran of.
Yeah.
Don't say
Do
Cochran.
you not honestly nothing?
He'd get
I could
me
be,
off.
Do you honestly nothing? Pardon?
He'd get me off. Oh please, come on! You see, this is where this went. Can I say something here? Now,
The Sunday world will love this.
I was at a certain gig a few weeks ago. Tea with me at the SSE Arena.
Yes.
Right. And can I first of all thank you very much for the wonderful opportunity.
You're welcome
to steal your show because it was.
You did.
It was
And in
great.
10 minutes, and then you lads come on and talked about wanking and having sex with his dead mother for a long time.
I mean,
And, you know, I'm not want
For a long time.
I don't want to be critical, but, you know.
and he wasn't doing it.
Yeah.
I went, yeah, you can talk about that for, you know, you can do one or two. They did 40 minutes on it.
Yeah.
So aim higher, guys. That's what I'm saying.
And that's yeah.
So
Tim, that's what the
get
people
me
want.
off. Get me off. Could
Tim-
mean
Tim McGarry spotted with young podcasters exclaiming, "Get me off! Get me off!"
They're gonna
now, I
play-
could
I've
be a
seen the
lawyer because I would
clip.
just say, "I rest my case on that." And play this clip.
There's going to be a documentary in years' time where they play this clip back
Yeah.
with like, boom, like certain music in the background.
Lied about having a helicopter. Would tell young comedians to come on his helicopter.
But I think I'd be a better lawyer because you know I'm argumentative as fuck. Like, I
Yeah.
can't let it lie. Even if the argument means nothing, I can't lose the
Yeah.
argument. I will
But I
keep
know
going.
how to press your buttons.
No, but you're too nice. You wouldn't be a good lawyer. You have to have a vicious.
Yeah.
Too nice.
You need to have an anger in you. You don't have it. I'd be like a Saul Goodman, like a Johnny Cochran. I'd be a.
Yeah.
I wouldn't care what he's done. I'm like, all I care about is find you innocent. Don't care if you did it or not.
Yeah, I couldn't make peace
Do
with
you
that.
have to do that as a lawyer? Do you actually have to go like between me and you here?
Or do you ever
Just
ask
so I
that?
know.
Well,
Did you do it? Like if you're defending someone.
no, you can't do that.
Can you?
It's a complete breach of ethics.
Serious?
Yes.
But what if they offer it to you? What if they go?
No, if your client tells you I'm guilty, will you go in and say I'm innocent? No, you can't.
That's
do
what
that.
me.
You
That's
can
what
go
Really?
That's what me
in
and fucking
guilt.
paid to
Of
do.
course not.
So they can't go listen between us. I did this.
Go in
like-
and spoof your load. No.
You're doing that
legal
on
ethics. Have you ever heard of it? And what you can do as a lawyer, go. All the evidence points to the fact that you're fucking guilty. And you go, oh no, I don't care. I still want you to fight it. And they will go, well, you're my client, even though I don't necessarily believe that you're innocent. I will
Okay.
put your best case forward.
I genuinely thought
But no,
lawyers had
you
a wee
can't.
moment where they were like, just
No.
so I know, like
Like,
just so I know how to play this here.
what? Like, would you be? Obviously, you argue with the opposition lawyer, but are you like friends with these people? But then once
Oh,
you
yeah,
step
yeah.
into that court,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have to just
Yeah.
go for it at each
Oh,
other.
100%. Yeah, all the lawyers will know each other. Yeah.
Oh no, do you do it like we do with gigs where like the opposite lawyer will come
Yeah.
out and you're like, you were shite tonight.
Yeah.
You died on your home. Mate, you have the murder weapon with his DNA on it. You still lost.
Oh, fuck, you're lucky they haven't got hanging anymore, mate. Hey, old wanker.
What would your last case have been? Like,
Well,
roughly
I was
what you-
employment law. I did fair employment and sex discrimination cases.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was an expert in sexual harassment. You see, again, I shouldn't have said that. As soon as I came
I
out of my
can't
mouth,
wait for
I
the
went, the
supercut
lads
of
of
this.
BC will go.
Help yourself, Tim. Help. We're throwing you the rope and you're just
An
going,
expert in
no
sexual-
worries.
And maternity rates as well, maternity pay and stuff, maternity rates. Because in the old days, pregnant women used to just get sick. The boss would go, really delighted to hear you're pregnant, by the
Aye.
way, all the best for your new job.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
right.
And then they cottoned on to that because we took a lot of cases and go, you can't do that. So what they used to do is go, right, wait till they come back to work and went, listen, do the way you were the manager of the company. Now you're cleaning the bogs there,
Yeah.
Well, all that went on. So, yeah. There was
That's a very noble
it was-
area of law.
Well, do you know, I'm a very noble person, I'd
Yeah.
like to say. I eliminated religious discrimination in employment. Took me 2 years for employment commission. did 2 years, and then I eliminated sex discrimination. That took a little longer.
Were you really nervous?
Or were you ever
doing-
sometimes on the other side being like, she's shite anyway. She's a fucking baby factory here. 8 kids dead on.
Is the same nerves in the courtroom kind of like?
It's for you.
That's for you. Is the same nerves standing up in a courtroom the same as stand up almost in a way?
It is actually, yeah, it's pretty similar. Now, I wasn't a barrister. I was mainly I did represent a few people in smaller tribunals, but I was mainly preparing the case and getting a better paid barrister to do the.
Oh, is the
but I
barrister
was
the one who stands up and is going,
Yeah.
right.
Even in tribunals, technically you don't need barristers, but they have barristers because they're quite complicated cases.
So you never getting the wig on, like?
No, I was a solicitor, not a barrister. Yeah.
Were there ever times you go in, see the judge who's presiding over the case and go, oh, he's a bastard?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Not him, mate.
Yeah. I imagine.
Did
being
you
like,
ever
screwed.
pay to have a case turned the other way or anything?
What?
Was there ever any
did you
last
ever-
minute, like, you're like, what, just one more thing, and then you flip it on the table?
Yeah.
One thing bothers me. Yeah. bothers me.
See, I imagine the way they pick it. I can't imagine this. This is just how I imagine they pick the judge. Do you remember Takeshi's Castle?
Yes.
And there's the sumo round.
Yes.
And you draw a wee ball.
Yes.
And you'd be like, oh, it's the red one.
Yeah.
That's how I imagine they pick the judge.
Did you ever?
You see that? You can't handle the truth. That utter bollocks.
No.
Right.
Utter bollocks. Yeah, that makes no sense. That legally, that makes no sense.
Break it down for
Yeah.
me.
Well.
Why not?
Well, the whole case is basically he just confesses in court, and there's no
Under no pressure, they
under
haven't
no
got
pressure,
him.
no rhyme or reason whatsoever. And he spends his time, making notes in a jotter and all that, and all he just goes, "Did you do it? I fucking did, yeah."
So you said William Crawley said to Neil that didn't like. How does that make sense? And
Yes,
you're watching
that
that
was-
movie, going, "Well, actually, folks, Tim in the cinema, stop the film."
Procedurally, this is incorrect.
Did you ever? Final question. Did you ever have moments where like you'd be preparing a case and going over something, and you would just spot something and go, "That's it"? Is that like a real buzz to go, boom?
Yes, genuinely yes. In employment cases, you get bits of documents and you go, "Wait a minute."
I love that.
Yeah. That was, because it can be quite boring work as well. We were doing a lot of employment cases and people applying for jobs and saying they were discriminated against. So you look through everybody's CV and look through interview notes and stuff like that, and then you discover things.
Do you ever like go to court?
Well, there's a lot of people took claims for discrimination, claiming they were discriminated against, and to be honest, they were just wick.
Yeah.
Just wick at the job.
Yeah, you're like, you're a
And you
bit
go,
of a, yeah.
Yeah, you're a
The
bit
judge
Yeah.
is like, "You're wick."
Religion aside, you're a bit of a bollocks.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Yes.
Do you ever have people you still run into now who'd be like, "Damn you, McGarry"?
Occasionally you get people going, "You got me a few grand that time." No.
You're like, "What are you going to do for Tim?
Yeah.
You want to scratch Tim's back? Do you want to get in the job?"
Have you got the title for a new show for me?
I got you 10 grand. There's Tim's tickets are on sale. So,
Tim wouldn't mind a wee line or two, if you know what I mean. They're like, "Get out of
Can
my
we edit
garden."
that bit out? I am not. For the avoidance of doubt, I have not now taken cocaine.
There's no doubt, Tim, that you're a massive cokehead. Like, people know it. People know it. And who better to mentor you? You mentor
Well,
me. Willy
that's-
can mentor you.
I'm like a wee Coke Yoda.
But you don't do it anymore, Hugh?
No.
That's okay.
Just checking what time it was. No, not before lunch.
Willy hasn't done coke in days.
No, that's really interesting. The solicitor. I would have loved to be a solicitor, but I wouldn't have the attention span.
Yeah.
I'd get really 2 days in. I'm
The
like,
attention to detail.
I'd be like, is he guilty or not?
Yeah,
Fuck
yeah,
me. I'd get so
Yeah.
bored.
Yeah. So the tour, you just get my headpiece tours done, then you're going
Good
to
my
go on a
headpiece
solo
tour in March next year, and then a solo tour after that, and got more long and the short of it than TV. I've also got another podcast. I've got a live podcast show with the Irish History Boys. You should come along. You might learn something.
Whoa. If we're plugging live podcasts, Tim.
Oh, live podcast. Oh, yeah. I got this. We have a podcast called the Give My Head Podcast.
Oh,
very
yes.
good. You've been on it.
It's very
I've
fun.
been on it.
He's been on it. Yeah,
It's a lot
of fun.
We're
And you have just recorded an episode with David Jeffrey, and I'm very excited to hear that.
Oh, he was brilliant.
Yeah.
He was really, really good. Yeah.
I love his Beltel Irish
Yeah.
football player.
I
I'm very
admire
excited to
him,
hear
but
that.
as a Glen man,
Yeah.
I hate him for the years of
You're
pain he
not
put
a
us
Glen.
through.
Yeah, well,
He put us through. This guy, oh my god.
Years of torment, man.
He has put us in.
But before we get to that, can we get to the plug first? Because
Yes,
that's very important.
Tim, we know you're always very
Sunday
keen to
the
get to the
12th of
plug.
October in the Mandela Hall, Give Me a Head podcast. Live! Give Me a Head podcast. Readings from some of the old episodes, bit of stand-up and stuff.
You're going to do readings of the old scripts?
Yeah, we're going to do readings of the old scripts and stuff. And get
We'll
some
put the
actors
link for
together.
that in the description.
Thank you very much.
You
12th of
genuinely should
October.
do a show about being a barrister, like stories.
Yeah, legal stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some good ones. There are some jolly
That
good
would be
ones.
a really, really interesting.
Your dishonour. Tim McGarry.
I was going-
Dishonour.
I was-
Dishonour.
I was going with Tim McGarry gets you off, so yours is a lot nicer than mine.
Tim McGarry gets you off.
Like,
What about legally grey, legally white? No, doesn't work.
What about Tim McGarry loves coke for your tour? Tim McGarry, cokehead. In brackets, he loves it. What about bring Tim Coke?
but I, in all seriousness, would love to see that as a
Right.
show.
Okay.
I think that'd be so good. Do it.
Yeah.
So, are you a Glentoran fan?
Yeah.
No, I've known this guy for
Have you
like
ever been
10
to a
years
match?
and he's never mentioned
Season
it.
ticket holder in 2007.
He also, recently we were with someone and they went, Willy, what football team do you support? And he goes, Chelsea. But before he said it, realised that he's not into it that much anymore. And he goes, but I don't know who manages him or anything. Like, he doesn't know anything about
Right.
football.
No. Although weirdly, when I'm steaming drunk, I found out apparently I drop ball knowledge.
Right.
That I didn't know I had.
Right.
There was one time, recently I was steaming, went up to my friend who's a big football fan and spent an hour talking about how I felt Antonio Conte was one of the most underappreciated managers of the modern era. And then the next day he was like, I told you I was steaming. And then the next day he was like, yeah, and what about Antonio Conte? And I went, who the fuck's that? Didn't know who it was.
It unlocks it.
Yeah.
So you're a big, sorry, I didn't know you're a big Glen man.
Yeah.
Tim Big
Back-
Cliftonville, you a big Glen man.
He's
So
Back in the day I was.
you'll see him at the next game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. See you there.
Yeah.
See you there, and then we'll go to your show. See you both. Well.
We'll put the description for that live show in.
Thank you very much.
I'm on tour, ShaneTalkComedy.com for my tour tickets, building up to a big night at the SSE. Willy T, anything you want to plug?
Lazy Boys podcast. Me,
Is
Shane,
right.
and Mickey. It's a fun time. Very silly.
Is right.
It's everything
Very
Tim
silly, Tim.
hates.
Tim, for us, it's a little bit lowbrow for us.
Right.
Yeah.
For
What,
me,
Lazy Boys?
yeah,
Yeah.
Lazy boys.
You wouldn't like it now.
It's not as intellectual as this.
No.
It's not as right.
It's none of that history bollocks
None
or
of
whatever.
this.
None of that. No. Do you know what happened in 1745? Don't give
you
a
get
fuck.
here.
Right?
Don't know what happened in 2004, bro. 24 minutes last year.
Anyway, the Irish History Boys podcast is very good. You should
I've
listen
listened to
it,
some of it. It's very good.
Yeah.
Which one? Which one are you listening to?
The one he's on.